This episode of Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 source of games and gaming accessories, and by GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source of Magic the Gathering news and articles. Hi there, this is Kevin from GatheringMagic.com, here with another deck of Playing on a Budget. I'm going to keep with the theme here and stick with monocolored deck, as they are the most inexpensive way to get into Standard right now, as the shocklands still are quite expensive, especially the Gate Crash. So a good way to cut down the expense without killing your mana base is to go monocolored right now. I know that's not the most creative of decks, but I'm going to stick to this theme for the moment. Anyway, I was very tickled to find this deck. This one was by Colin Runge 1. This was a standard daily on April the 5th, and he was able to go 4-0 with this deck. It's called Mono Black Vampires is what I like to call it, as he's running 14 vampires here with a lot of control. So he's using Victim Knight, Ultimate Prize, Tribute Hunger, Tragic Slip, and Mutilate, and even Devour Flesh. This deck really punishes the creature-based decks like Naya Blitz and RG Aggro. Very good matchups with it, especially from the life gain with Vampire Nighthawk. It can also be a very quick deck if you get out a 3rd turn Vampire Nighthawk with a 4th turn Vampire Nocturnus, and if you're fortunate enough to have it flip, you're swinging in for 4 lifelink damage. In the next turn, you could even swing in for more. Bloodline Keeper is great against the control matchups, and it's decent versus the aggro matchups, as you can keep putting out jump blockers each turn. Blood Artist, of course, is great versus the aggro matchups, and decent versus control as well, as if you have to mutilate a board, you still get some value out of Blood Artist. So let's just go down the price list of this deck. These prices are brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. So let's go down the prices here. We'll start with 25 basic land swamps. Of course, that's not going to cost you anything. Any Magic player has 25 swamps. We'll go on to Blood Artist. Blood Artists right now are currently going for $2.50. They are quite expensive uncommon because they are very popular in the different builds. Use it. This is my main finisher in my Bug Immortal Servitude list that has got quite the attention lately. So I think that is one of the reasons why this Blood Artist is spiked up in value, seeing a lot more play than it used to be. Then we got Bloodline Keeper. Bloodline Keeper is a great card, again against control. It transforms into a 5/5 that I believe gives all vampires +2/+1. I'm not sure on that. We'll have to look at it when I load it up in my MTGO. Vampire Nighthawk, of course, is one of the best creature cards ever printed, one of the better cards in Standard. Very, very good. This sees modern play. If you're running mono black or any black deck, this is usually an auto include, as it does do very well against both control and aggro. It's a nightmare for aggro, especially aggro that relies on a lot of 2/2 creatures, and it trades with anything bigger than a 2/2. So Vampire Nighthawk with a Flying Death Touch lifelink is a very versatile creature. It's your all-star in your deck. Then we got the Vampire Nocturnus. Oh, Vampire Nighthawks, by the way, are going for $1.50. They've been reprinted a few times. Bloodline Keepers, I don't think I mentioned, are going for $3.50. Another $3.50 card is the Vampire Nocturnus. Vampire Nocturnus is very, very powerful in this deck, as you will have no trouble getting the triple black. And it gives all of your guys +2/+1 in flying if the top card of your library is a black card, and most likely it is going to be a black card because everything here is black except the Staff of Nin and the swamps. So it'll even pump up your Blood Artist to 2/3 2/2 flyers, which isn't bad for 2 mana. Alrighty, we'll go on to the main deck spells here. The only thing that really costs over 50 cents here is the Mutilates. They run for about $3. They've been reprinted. This is their second reprinting in the M13, so they are pretty cheap, and they're very, very versatile removal. They kill stuff like Boros Reckoner without dealing damage to it, which is a plus, and anything with Regenerate and Hexproof is also suspect to dying to Mutilate. So yeah, it's a very, very good card, especially in this mono black. 4th turn it's going to give -4/-4, 5th turn -5/-5. You'll basically be able to keep on tempo with all the creatures that are coming out. You'll be able to kill them the next turn with a Mutilate. Anyway, so that is basically the expenses of the deck. This is easily under $100. In fact, on MTGO, this takes about 20 tickets to build is all, which is very, very cheap. Sideboard, of course, is very cheap as well. Nothing in here costs, I would say, over $2. So this is a very affordable deck, and as you can see, it went 4-0 in the daily standard daily on the 5th of April. So I'm going to pull this up in MTGO and play a few games here. I'm going to enter in a standard daily, and we'll get going on that. Alrighty, so here I have the deck pulled up on MTGO. As you can see, this is what it looks like with the converted mana cost. The only one drops in this deck are Tragic Slip. That's the only action you do have on the first turn. But you have a lot of action on the second turn with Sign in Blood, Devour Flesh, Ultimate Price, Victim Knight, Blood Artist. I kind of want to add another Blood Artist in this deck, especially after testing it out a little bit. I think it's a very good card against aggro. It's a card you never don't want to see. I'd love to always have a Blood Artist in my opening hand and love to draw into it. So it's definitely a change you could make. I'm going to play this as is, though. I'm going to play it exactly how his 4-0 finish was and to see how the deck works. And then in the wrap-up, I will give my suggestions of what I think this deck needs more of. I kind of think Underworld Connections might be a better choice main board than the Sign in Blood, as we do have a lot of 2-drops to begin with, and our 3, we definitely do have more available 3 slots here. So I'm loving Tribute to Hunger as one of the anti-aggro package here because it does gain you some life and maybe will give you an extra turn to stabilize. And of course, Vampire Nighthawk is just one of the best cards in Standard right now, so this is definitely what holds this deck together. A 2/3 flying Death Touch lifelinker. Ultimate Price is great against Hellrider. It does not hit Boros Reckoner, so it's something you think of putting more Victim of Nights in instead of Ultimate Prices. I'm trying to think of a scenario. I guess Ultimate Price can kill opposing Vampire Nighthawks, but I'm trying to think of a different scenario where I'd want Ultimate Price over Victim of Night. But yeah, it's good to have a diverse removal package with, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. Then, of course, the 4 Mutilates are another glue that holds this deck together, as it does completely overwhelm the aggro decks, especially Naya Blitz. In testing, I've already got rid of, like, I've seen the second turn Burning Tree, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, and then if I'm on the play, I'll get to my 4th turn before he does, and then just wipe his board. I've had the Mutilates be 5-for-1s before against that deck. Staff of Nin, I don't know about main board in this guy. I mean, it could be, against the aggro, a lot of times if you have it in your opening hand, it's tough to even get it out. But eventually you will get up to 6 mana, and then it just takes over the game, of course. Vampire Nocturnus, I don't know about the number of 3. I'm thinking that maybe 2 and 4 Blood Artists is better, but again, I'm going to play it with 3. This card can be a boss when you do get it out 4th turn, when you have a 3rd turn Vampire Nighthawk. That's already happened before, and I'm able to swing for 4 and have a 5/4 flying dude as backup. Bloodline Keeper is so great in this deck. If it doesn't eat a Searing Spear, then this card can take over the game, especially versus aggro. If they cannot deal with it, you have a 2/2 chump blocker. Every turn, if you are up to get to 5 or more vampires, he flips into a 5/5 flying, gives all the rest of your vampires +2/+1. So very, very good card. There's a look at its backside, and he definitely is an all-star in this deck. So let's go back onto what I've noticed from playtesting this deck. Underworld Connections comes in against Control. Tormod's Crypt comes in against the Junk Reanimator decks and any sort of Reanimator. I also brought it in against UWR Control. Pithing Needle comes in against any sort of land-based deck that uses either Nathalia Drown Yard or Kessig Wolf Run. You can name Planeswalkers with it. You can name any creatures with activated abilities like Deathrite Shaman. And yeah, it shuts them down. So very, very versatile card. I like it a lot. Human Frailty is actually amazing. I was a little bit suspicious of this card, as Tragic Slip does kill most of the humans, but Human Frailty is great versus Naya Blitz, and it does kill Huntmasters. It kills a lot of creatures right now are human, and so that's a great sideboard choice. Again, I don't know about Tragic Slip over Human Frailty over Tragic Slip in the sideboard, but it has been working well. Very good against Naya Blitz. Definitely good against our red deck wins as well, because it hits Burning Tree Emissary, and it also hits Ash Zealot and Lightning Mauler. So there's plenty of targets for it. Duress comes in against Control. I actually do sideboard in a couple, maybe against red deck wins, as it can get rid of Brimstone Volleys and Searing Spears, Pillars. And Cremate, of course, comes in again against Control as just a cantrip, or Junk Reanimator, get rid of their Unburial Rights or whatever they're trying to Unburial Rights. So yep, that's just the lineup. Been working out very well in the playtesting here. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter the Standard Daily. I already did the round 1 with Standard Daily, and I won't spoil it though. So go check that game out, and we'll be going on to round 2 shortly. This is Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.